work. And the reason I'm mentioning this is New York City has the same price for a tourist as a resident. So I think to help our residents and really keep the best workforce possible in Miami Beach, we should have a Miami Beach worker rate or a Miami Beach resident rate, similar to what we do with the golden passport individuals over a certain age, versus the tourist rate, so that we don't get those tourists who are abusing or not caring so much for our master that we're
Actually, it starts at the jail. We took the Staten Island ferry all the time. We had no other choice. And I mean, we had the Verrazano Bridge, but to go into New York City. So, I mean, it's the elephant in the room. We have this waterway, you know, that use our seascape. It's worked for New York for decades. Why can't we do that? You know,
can you imagine having little boats going up Indian Creek? So you want to go up Indian Creek and go for dinner at the Fontainebleau, go a little further up, and it would be amazing.
I mean, just to say, sign this ferry, I love it, but the schedule is so limited. I mean,
we have money to seriously subsidize this and get the infrastructure that we need, and that's where I'd like to see the money spent, and that's why I'm encouraging the commission to hire a lobbyist so that we can really speak to these people instead of this. Listen, I want mass transit, but I really think that this is it's bad. It's a lot of money.
Bad.
It wasn't bid out. It really wasn't. They just said, you know what? All of our plans fell apart, so you're going to get Metro movement. And they didn't even tell anybody that they were doing that.
But it's looking at this is mass transit, and it's free. The water is free.
It's free, and there's no traffic, and we can, if we have the right size ferry, we can transport.
Well, and what could we do about that? What could we do? I know you said right to our
like us personally, what could we do to help?
So this has been an ongoing thing, where first we called it a water taxi, and then the city came in, but what they offered was a limited schedule and terrible boats. Nobody bids on it because we've never had we've never had enough money to do it right. Now, if we had $1 billion and I could exploit the waterways, let me tell you, we could do some really great stuff. I could probably we could get some wonderful stuff with 20% of that. So we need to shift the way that we're thinking about this. And they said we have to do a 7-year study because we need federal funding. And then they came back and they said, you know what? We're not getting federal funding. So you, for 7 years, have had the Department of Transportation. You've done you've spent I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars on this SMART plan. And they said we didn't need the SMART plan, we're not getting federal funding. So that is where we are. It is a dysfunction in the county.
I was in London a couple weeks ago, and somebody asked me to visit them at their new place at Battersea. They said, take the Uber taxi, water taxi. Uber water taxi. I was like, okay. So I looked at my Uber app, and sure enough, you can just hit and buy your ticket, you go down to the water, and Uber picks you up and takes you.
Wow. And they have them in Miami, at one of the Art Basel fairs.
Yeah.
They have them. They did.
I have no idea what the arrangement is with Uber, but maybe they know something already.
Well, I told our director of transportation that he needs to go to Europe and study these really efficient commercial systems to see the kind of boat that we need, to see the kind of dock that we need. Really, it's not that big of a deal. You put a dock, you put a little ticket office. Everything is done on an app right now anyway. So literally, it's about buying the boats and creating the docks. It shouldn't be this difficult.
I mean, we should look at things like this with the apparatus. I mean, it's that simple. It's not a
You would think the simplest things in government, like I said, become way more complicated because of all the bureaucracies and all the different agencies involved. So that's where we are right now. We have a section of Alton Road probably that's going under construction, only we're stopping that because they want to cut down every tree on Alton Road.
85% of those trees are going to, that is what they said. I was at the meeting at the golf site. And so they said 85% of those trees on the left side going north between 20th and the golf, 85% of those glorious trees that do all the work of pumping the water, they'll cut them down and lift up Alton Road. And then on the right side, add a bike lane. Now I know where the water stagnates. It stagnates on two places. All they gotta do is work that drainage in those two spots. But no, $32 billion, everybody. Did you hear that? It's
No, we're not doing
$32
that. We're not cutting down those trees, and we're not putting Alton Road under
And
construction.
2.5 years or so, I'm thrilled to hear you say that. It's gonna be tough, because $32, $35 million is a lot of money for them to say.
Workforce housing. So we're building housing for artists because now we have this whole initiative. So if you're working at the ballet or the symphony or New World Drama, or you're working at the Bass Museum, all of those people will have a housing in Collins Park. It was very hard to find. And some of the issues that we're facing right now with capital projects across the city is that we started these projects 10 years ago, but something that cost $5 million 10 years ago is now not just costing $10 million, it's coming in at $15 million. So what we're seeing across the city is everything that passed in bond funding, for example, in 2018, none of those projects are funded. And so what we've been doing right now is kind of borrowing from one project to complete another project, and I'm trying to go in chronological order. Some neighborhoods we're removing funding from their neighborhood, which I don't necessarily like that much, but we're getting, we just got the money together to build that large passive park on the Par 3 course in that Bayshore neighborhood. So you're gonna see a beautiful new large park added to the city. Workforce affordable housing, that doesn't exist on Miami Beach anymore. As you know, insurance premiums are through the roof, and any kind of multifamily housing right now is facing not just elevated land costs, but construction costs and most certainly insurance costs. Now, the good thing about the city of Miami Beach is that we really can self-insure. So when we own the property, we don't have to pay those ridiculous premiums, and we save money on that. But Miami Beach isn't really building workforce housing. I think when you meant affordable housing, you were talking about housing for the workforce.
Yeah, for the workforce.
Well, I met with a guy last week, and he has approval right now to build 2 buildings on Washington Avenue, and he's building 275 square foot units. That's very small. And I don't even think it's humane, but he's saying that that is where our workforce wants to live. He wanted, the city commission was giving him a parking lot on 13th Street to add to his project, and he had all these numbers in it, but I've kind of stopped that right now. But he did say to me, and I'm going next week to see these units. He said, I've built them in Coral Gables, I've built them in Coconut Grove. I want you to come see what I've built so you can see if this is what you want for Miami Beach. In my opinion, though, people aren't going to live there very long.
Or did you ask him how many people live? Are they at full capacity in the Gables in the Grove?
He's saying that they're incredibly successful and that they're 100% leased. I don't know. I need to go see them before he got approval to do that. And by the way, he's trying to get approval to do more and more of these units, and I don't want them because to me, it seems like this model, I'm not sure about this model. And by the way, these transient smaller units that could become Airbnbs, we're already building several thousand of these rental units also in the North Beach area, which were sold as affordable workforce housing. But I've just found out recently that they're probably going to end up short-term rentals. So it's kind of, the thing is that he's investing a lot of money. He does believe in this. He's a very young kid who is ideologically minded, and he says that people his age don't mind living in these units, which by the way, because they're so small, they come like fully furnished. You really just like bring your cell phone with you and a charger and your laptop, and that's all you need. Yes.
Did he mention a price in the Gables for the Grove? What are they charging?
He's doing all rentals. And they're going probably for about $2,000 for 200. I don't know. First of all, a family can't live in them. It's supposedly for young professionals. His business, he says that the younger workforce doesn't want to stay in one place in one time. And so what they're doing is traveling around to these different places. He calls himself, if you want to look it up, it's called Urban, U-R-B-I-N. Now, he has the approval for one building right now, but he came forward because there was a provision that you had to get a building permit and it was sunsetting. And they've had 5 years to get the permit and he hadn't got them. And they were trying to sneak in an additional 4 years, and I said no, and stopped him. He very quickly called me right after that because I said to Stephen Miner and my colleagues on the commission, you cannot complain about traffic and then approve these micro units, which make no sense. I said, so anybody who votes for density right now, I'm gonna out you. And they all kind of sat back, and all of a sudden the issue got referred someplace, but it is coming back. And I am gonna go look at them, and I'm gonna try to stay open-minded. But this isn't the kind of housing we want. The issue is that the construction costs are too high. We have affordable workforce housing, which is this historic district. I just learned though that coming out of Tallahassee right now, there's a preemption on all of our historic preservation laws, which means that anybody will be able to demolish anything at any given time. So if you care about historic preservation, you need to write, especially to your Republican representatives, and ask them to please not do away with, they're trying to do away with two things. Number one, the right to run a referendum and for anything. That sounds good. And so they can come in and mark up their sidewalks, and we can't do anything. It's terrible. And and it's all over the place. It's okay. We have the best head of public works that we've ever had. Okay, but he doesn't have the crew that he needs. We haven't invested in the proper equipment, and this is the area because we haven't been focusing on that because our government is just focusing on building and building and building, and we're working for a small group of developers and not necessarily the operations. And the city never had the operations for the amount of hotel rooms that we currently have, which is why we're seeing the issues that we have. The good thing is that little by little we're seeing this. We're adding on cleaning crews. But like I said, right now, it's reactive because they're disorganized. We probably need like 3 more cleaning crews. By the way, South Beach and North Beach, you at least have cleaning crews. Mid-Beach, they figure single-family homes, you're doing it yourself. I've never seen anybody in Mid-Beach cleaning anything. We get zero.
I feel like hotels like the Marriott and the Ritz-Carlton, these big hotel brands, they should help us clean the sidewalks. They should contribute to
Doing whatever they can. They're hiring private security. They're cleaning. The Lowe's has taken over their entrance to the beach. They're doing their part, but the city definitely has operations issues. The thing is, the city manager, she's the most competent person that we've had in a long time. She's used to, running the county, so this is a much smaller position, but at the same time, sometimes she feels like, I'm like, you're not running the county anymore, this is a small municipality, you have to focus on us. So transit, should I finish with traffic lights? I feel like I'm supposed to.
Yes.
Okay. Synchronization of traffic lights. We have really old technology, like 60 years old, so in a place where we could really have servers that count the cars and automatically update it. We literally have a guy over in the county going, boom, change the light. It is terrible. It is archaic. So we used to have somebody that we paid just do Miami Beach. We'd be like, they're literally like, hey Joe, you need to change it on, but traffic patterns change. I mean, it's different on a Sunday morning than it is on a Monday night. And so the county has finally realized that there are servers and there's AI, artificial intelligence, that can do this for us and download the information into a system where all of the lights become more efficient and we would get like a 40% increase in traffic flow. It would be tremendous. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. I watched a 25-minute video the other morning. That's what I woke up to. Somebody sent it to me. I go, oh, this is great. So I sent it to the city manager. She goes, that's a great idea. I go, well, where's our transportation guy? Why doesn't he know this? So, it's I have to say, we're supposed to set policies. We get elected. We are not full-time employees. And we are not in charge of the management of the city. We are only in charge of, of creating policy. So it's frustrating. So that's where we are. One final thing about Lincoln Road. I've really dedicated myself to Lincoln Road. I went up to Aventura and I got their retail specialist to possibly work for the Lincoln Road bid, which I think is going to make a big difference in the anchor shops that we attract. We need some cool anchors that are going to attract people. the right ones, right? Something hip and interesting. Prices are adjusting, the market is adjusting because the prices were overinflated. Right now, believe it or not, Lincoln Road is 87% leased out. The problem is that nobody can open their business because everybody's stuck in the building department and in the county with the Department of Environmental Management. So right now, I also have an item that's at Finance Committee that we need to hire somebody to have at the county, just like we have somebody changing the lights. We need somebody to push through our environmental permits so that the restaurants can open, the businesses can open, and I think we are going to get that person there because right now, I had an ice cream shop that was opening on Lincoln Road, a national chain. They're 14 months into the process. They still don't have their permit. They called me desperate and they said, we're leaving. We've never seen this in our entire life. And at that point, I got everybody on alert and we got them their permit. Wow. The same thing happened to the Cheesecake Factory that was sent to open. They couldn't, it's opening now. But they're finally getting it. 3 days, FP&L is going to finally connect the electric and the cheesecake will be opening. And I'm really focused. I'm walking Lincoln Road all the time, which I really shouldn't be doing. It should be our facilities management team. But we're going to hire this person, this retail guru, who's going to do nothing but march up and down Lincoln Road and keep the city on its toes. The whole thing was supposed to be redeveloped, and we have the funding to do it. $40 million and a great plan. But we're not doing it now until 2024. I don't know if that had something to do with the units that were built. See, like, for example, when the marina, when that marina failed, the marina redevelopment failed, you saw a decline in the marina because if the marina funds a lot of these things, they're also getting federal funding for this. The cities are purchasing the beds, but as you see, like, there's only a couple programs that are working. For example, the women at Lotus House, that's a program that's working because the women check in, they're immediately medicated, but there's a whole team of social workers and they are really working it and they have a model that works. But to roll this out into the other shelters are very difficult. And the shelters are places that are dangerous. They don't want to spend the night there because they get their stuff stolen from somebody else. Another thing is that a lot of these people are addicted to alcohol. They can't drink in the shelter, so it's not a place that they would want to go.
Solution, instead of parks, you have mental hospitals. Listen,
that's why they got rid of the institutions because they became so awful. But we really have no institutions. The state of Florida has one. I'm afraid to even go in there. Wouldn't even want to know. Everything in the state of Florida right now is run for-profit. For-profit prisons, for-profit children and family services, for-profit everything. And these really should not be run in a for-profit manner.
Can we talk about the cleanliness of everything?
Yes.
Yeah, it just seems like it doesn't get upkept, kept up all the time. The sidewalks, even in North Beach on
The
Collins Avenue.
utility companies drawing up.
Well, they have to.
I know.
Well, no, but